Hello there, and welcome everyone to a British edition of Griever, your host with the mostest, bringing you guys the review for the Miscellaneous content, chapter number 8, entitled Miscellaneous. Why don't we get right on the way? This one won't be so much of a read-through as it will be just a way to piss off Neo Rose and the other people in Misk's Discord, who are probably the only people who actually watch these reviews, and I thought they'd get a smashing good time out of me doing the entire review in a British accent just to give them the finger about it. Alright, so let's get right on the way with this. Now, and of course my accent is absolutely dreadful, so it's going to be a bit of a hit and miss, if you will. Now, that being said, it's not, nonetheless, we are going to take this very seriously. We are, because I have a couple of questions for Banmash about this chapter. I really enjoyed the chapter. The chapter we jump away from the pirates on the last boat with Misk doing his thing, or doing his thing, if you will. And then we jump back to Koji and Tokyo on the actual cruise. They were supposed to get to the island, they're supposed to find the egg, etc., etc. And I really like the aspect of it being a Togepi egg. I really enjoy that aspect of it. I think it adds a little bit of a nuance for those who don't get it. They don't need to get it. It's still an egg. And but if they do get it, then it's like, hi, I'm a Pokemon fan. So I sort of really like that. But nonetheless, the chapter begins and we get this whole thing where, of course, Koji and Tokyo we saw from the last chapter. This was good building on Banmash's part, even though it's only been a few chapters in, and he's trying his very best to get us to the action, to get us to the good arc, the overall arc story. So he's trying to do all the introductions, trying to do some villain of the week stuff, and just get us on our way. And of course, his art continues to improve, and we sort of see that even here in this chapter, especially with the design of the Seawolf Mother. But that being regardless of all that, what we actually get here is something quite interesting, because the character building is a little rushed in that way, but we know that Koji and Tokyo can't really get themselves along. It's very awkward. So they end up stealing the emergency life raft that is on most ships, or the emergency life boat, etc. And they end up paddling their way because they say, okay, this cruise ship, the ship we're on, doesn't actually go to the island that we're supposed to go for the A-level bounty. What it does is it passes by it. So about halfway through the voyage, so let's say the voyage was an hour. If the voyage is an hour, around the 25-30 minute mark, we need to steal the boat and disembark, and boom. And I thought that would be the entire chapter, and I went, okay, all right, this has some excitement. How are they going to dupe the gods? How are they going to do this? No, Banmash is wasting no time here in making absolutely sure that we're getting some action in this chapter. There's not going to be any of that, at least for a little while by the looks of it. Ban wants to get into the good stuff, and realistically, why not? Because this was actually an interesting chapter. Because after they do that, they go through, right? They actually do steal the boat, and Tokyo begrudgingly says to Koji, like, yes, I can take the paddles, and I can row for a while, because if I make you paddle all the way, and a little bit of fourth wall, not necessarily fourth wall breaking, but a little bit of third wall breaking, I guess it would be called, where Koji calls out this trope after they actually reach the island, they've reached the land on the shore, and basically says, I thought you'd be one of those type of people that would say, no, it's your own problem, figure it out. And basically Tokyo, she says, no, like that's not what we do. What we do is if I get there and I can't handle the situation, I don't need you half dead because I didn't pull my weight, is basically what is said here. And so Koji and Tokyo sort of semi-working together, even just to get to the island. Now, once they get to the island, they find the Togepi egg very, very fast. But then, of course, in comes Mother Raccoon, Mother Hen, Mother oh Mother does she come in. The Mother Seawolf. This thing looks relatively just like a giant werewolf, but I still like the design. Like, there's nothing necessarily overly unique about this design, but I just sort of like it We don't see really a whole lot of shots of it. Like, there's a lot of close-ups and a lot more of the snout and the arrow blast, the hyper beam coming out of the mouth, sort of idea, which I really appreciate the effects for that. Sort of doing the spiral beam of the special beam cannon or the Mansatzlikapal. I can't say that fucking word. But from Dragon Ball Z, like the spiral beam cannon, and but mixed up with the hyper beam from Pokemon and stuff, and just basically a big ass beam blast out of the mouth. It's classic shonen. And here, this is where I had a few questions for Band, because does body manipulation, right? Because they both have body manipulation, correct? Or am I mistaken here? Because Koji, I believe, said, you have body manipulation, same as I do. And to Tokyo. And Tokyo's idea of body manipulation, which I do agree can be taken in multiple parts, is cloning. She clones herself into multiple clones. Now, these clones are not illusions. So, like so many manga, like even One Piece did in one of the more recent chapters with Robin, when you make a clone of yourself, when they take damage, you still take damage. It's not the shadow clone jutsu from Naruto. It's not an illusion. It's an actual attack. It's an actual blood and flesh and bone body. It's an actual legitimate clone. And she managed to make 3. Now, is her limit only 3? Can she make more than 3? And they all end up attacking this mother sea wolf. Now, Koji, however, also has body manipulation as far as I'm aware. I believed it was body manipulation, which Koji's idea of body manipulation is manipulating his limbs into different aspects of animals. Now, once again, this can all fall under the categories are relatively broad. So I don't have a problem with this, but am I incorrect in saying is that sort of like devil fruit powers and sort of like people utilize hockey from One Piece, do people here utilize, or I guess a more accurate thing would be like Zanpakuto from Bleach or Shaman King Oversouls, is that people can manifest them in different ways. They can be in the same group or category, but they can sort of naturally or subconsciously choose a style in which suits them best. Because that seems to be the case. We have one that's a cloner, and then we have another that is fixated on animals. Fixated on utilizing the animal, attack, like the talons of an eagle and the shield of a squirrel and all these things, right? So, and then it also boggled my mind. I don't need to, and this is the other question I have for Bambash, is if that is the case, then fine dandy. Of course, Tokyo, cloning herself, would already know how her own body works, and that's fine. She'd be familiar with her own body, I'm sure. Koji, however, brings up these weird bear-looking talon things from some type of monster. Fine dandy, probably encountered one once. And then the squirrel shield, well, everybody's encountered a squirrel. Where did the fire blast come from? Is it from a dragon? Is it from a fire-breathing what have you? From a tortoise, for all I know. Koji is learning these new abilities as taught by Misk, and we get this nice moment where they use the fire blast, where Koji uses the fire blast. And I'm there saying, okay, not that I don't understand, but what is Koji's prerequisite for this? Because his entire thing is based on animals. Body manipulation of a human would not allow one to breathe fire. So I'm understanding that Koji encounters these animals and these monsters, and what's the time frame? If he sees the attack, is he able to then manipulate his own body, use his energy to manipulate and replicate? Is it a replication like that? Is it sight? Is it like an RPG where you need to defeat said monster first before being able to utilize their technique? How exactly does body manipulation work in that regard? I still really like the chapter, but it threw me off for a moment there because I was like, alright, so he encountered a raccoon and a squirrel. Fine dandy. He's got talons and he's got a shield. Now he's breathing fire. And I'm just wondering, okay, what are the limits of body manipulation? Because at this point, it seems to be creativity. If you can come up with it, then then the man should be able to summon lightning storms out of his mouth. And I don't believe that's what Bandmaster was going for, so I believe there must be something about body manipulation, the way it transpires, and the way that Koji must have either witnessed a dragon or something breathing fire, and once it's locked into their eyes, if they have the willpower, as we saw here, summoning the courage, being able to master it and be able to utilize it properly, they can re-summon the technique, whether it's the same power as the full-fledged dragon, or a weakened version. Nonetheless, they are able to utilize the best of the abilities that they have witnessed. Because other than witnessing this attack from an animal, where it's all been animal-based, I'm just a little confused. Not that it won't be potentially explained in the next following chapters. At first, I was like, this is really cool, but I need to know the ins and outs of body manipulation, which I'm sure will be explained in later chapters. These are just the things that are popping into my head as I read through the entirety of the chapter. Now, the last thing, of course, is that they do actually working together, they do take out the sea wolf in the final pages of the chapter, the mother sea wolf. They do get the egg, and Tokyo and Koji basically, Tokyo acknowledges this was good teamwork, you did well, and so they are well on their way to becoming a team. I believe 8 chapters in, Band has already established us the world building, has already established us what the plot is going to be about, and just a multiple of other things, like established, all right, here's our first 3 members of the team. This is Misty, Ash, Brock. This is the Digimon Tamers. This is the group from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever, what have you. From Bleach, from Naruto, this is Team 7, whatever. We have our 3 main characters so far, and we knew there was going to be a dynamic shift, but Band has gone out of his way to say, okay, I'm not going to waste time making this like a Sasuke Naruto, like button heads thing the entire time. No, I'm going to make sure that they come together relatively quickly after 1 or 2 battles, and then we can move on, because that's not what Band wants to focus on. Clearly, Band doesn't want to focus on an inner turmoil dynamic due to circumstance on our main characters, but rather wants to sort of become fast friends, fast companions or comrades at the very least, similar to like a Shaman King or a Bleach sort of aspect, and then just move the hell on. And I do appreciate that, because chapter 8, though it was entirely focused on Tokyo and Koji, was entertaining to say the least. It was very, very entertaining. I really enjoyed the different abilities, and the sea wolf, the mother sea wolf design, though, as I said, rather basic, still looked very clean, looked very, very impressive. I was really happy to see these other monsters designs that Band is going to come up with in the future, I should say. So either way, really enjoyed this chapter 8. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. The 3 things I always ask of you. And as always, the 4th thing is to drink responsibly, as always. As your host with the most, Griever, always does. And we will see you beautiful people again next time. Cheers, mates.